Hoy es un día muy especial, estoy súper contenta porque una de las cosas buenas que tiene trabajar en el ámbito del desarrollo humano, del autoconocimiento, es que conoces personas interesantes y alguien de quien hemos aprendido mucho es de nuestro invitado hoy. Está en Barcelona porque está asistiendo a unas conferencias de la mano de Unity y hemos aprovechado para venirnos hasta aquí y poder hablar con él y preguntarle cosas que tienen que ver sobre su investigación, sobre el trabajo, el desarrollo de su trabajo, que es muy interesante. Es un honor para mí dar la bienvenida en estos encuentros a Mr. Bruce Lipton. Hola.
Thank you. Welcome. Thank you.
How are you?
I am a very happy person.
Yes, you are. We can tell. So you're here in Spain to take part in some conferences and so many things, but mostly to talk about so important it is epigenetics. What's happening?
Well, there's a new understanding of heredity. We've all been programmed with the belief that the genes turn on and the genes control our life. Well, as far as we know, we didn't pick the gene. You can't change them if you don't like them, and they operate by themselves. That makes us victims of our heredity. People think with something running is in the family, they will get it, like cancer, Alzheimer's, something like that. They say, oh, my parents had it, I will get it. This is completely wrong. There's a whole new science that says this is very, very wrong, and it's called epigenetics. Now, genetics is the story of heredity, okay? Epigenetics is a different story because in genetics, the old one, the genes control. In epigenetics, epi means above. So when I talk about skin, underneath the skin is a layer called dermis, and then we talk epidermis, that means above the dermis, skin. Well, genetics, and we say epigenetics, that means control above the genes. And I say, where's that control? And the control is the mind. So our thoughts and our beliefs and the way we live control our genes. And since we control that, then we are not the victims of genes. We are the masters of our genetic activity.
And this is good news because you've been telling this for many years. Around the 80s, more or less, you took really conscience of what's going on with the epigenetics. And since then, you've come a long way talking about it.
Well, it's the same story I said back 40 years ago. Science has come the long way. I was aware of the new science 23 years before conventional science knew about epigenetics.
So what if you tell about the surroundings, the environmental situation, always taking part in the change of our genes, what have we been doing wrong and what we can change from here to the future?
Okay. Well, let's put something very important here. The most truthful science, the most valid science, is quantum physics.
Okay.
And I go, so what does that have to do? Well, the number one principle of quantum physics is that the mind and our spirit control our life experiences. Well, now this is true in the science of biology because now we know the mind and the spirit control our genes. So you would think, well, why don't I create heaven on earth? And I look around, I said, that the earth is kind of scary today,
yeah.
Especially today.
Yes.
And so I say, so what's going on? Why am I not creating heaven? Well, the answer is the mind controls us, but there are two minds. And this is what people don't recognize, two minds that work together. One is called the conscious mind, right behind your forehead. Mm-hmm. This is where our personal identity, our spirit is connected to the conscious mind. The back part of the brain is called the subconscious mind, which means below conscious. It controls things when we are not paying attention. It controls your heartbeat, your blood flow, the temperature in your body. It controls without thinking, so it works without thinking. The brain with the conscious and the subconscious, it's a computer. It's the most powerful computer that we've ever known, okay? And I go, so what's important? Well, it works like a computer. I go, so what? I say, well, in the old days, we would buy a computer and we'd take it home and we'd say start and the screen lights up and we say it's booted. And I say, okay, do something. You have a new computer. And you say, no, first I have to put programs, otherwise I cannot use the computer. Well, it turns out in humans, the first 7 years of a child's life, the brain is in a state of hypnosis. It's not level of conscious. Conscious around 7. Below 7 is called theta, a vibration, but that vibration is imagination in behavior, but it's also hypnosis. This is why children under 7 mix the real world and the imaginary world. They have imaginary friends. You probably went to the tea party. You poured nothing into the cup. You drank nothing. It was the best tea you ever had. And I go, that is theta, imagination. But it's also hypnosis. And the reason for it is very important. We cannot make genes for culture because culture changes all the time, so you can't have genes. But we have to know so much information. When you're growing up, you have to become part of a family. There are rules. You have to become part of the culture. There are more rules. And the point is, how does an infant learn the rules of life? Well, the infant can't go to school, can't read a book. So nature created the first 7 years hypnosis. Watch the parents, watch the culture. And as you're watching them, you download the behavior, okay? So the most important thing is the programs that are in our brain did not come from us. They came from watching the other people, okay? So I say, so why is this important? Who cares about the program? Because at age 7, the conscious is the creative one. The conscious is the one that like types on the keyboard, puts the information, and what you want, put it in the computer, conscious mind. Now there's a problem. I say, what is it? I say, the conscious mind can do 2 things. It could look out at the world and help guide you to where you want to go. Or it can think. I go, what does that mean? I say, well, thinking is not looking out. Thinking is looking in. So I say, Anne, tell me what you're doing tomorrow. And it's not written here, but I bet you in a minute or less you say, oh, tomorrow I'm going to do this. I said, where did you find that answer? You were thinking. Well, thinking is not looking out. Thinking is looking in. Well, what we now know science-wise, 95% of the day people are thinking. Well, I go, so what? I said, well, then they're not looking at the world. They're inside. Yeah. Well, I said, well, what if you're driving the car? And if you came here, you probably did the same thing. You're driving the car and you're thinking, I'm going to the store, I'm going to go do this. I say, well, if you're thinking, you're not looking out the window. I said, well, wait a minute. How can you drive the car and not look out the window? The answer is the subconscious with the program is autopilot. It takes over. And so then you start playing the program. I say, yeah, but the program was other people's belief, not yours, okay? So why is this important? The important part is this. 95% of the day you are not creating your life. Your program is creating your life. And you do not see the program. This is the scary part. Why? Well, if you're thinking, you're not paying attention. And if you're not paying attention, the program's playing, you don't see the program. Everybody else sees the program. And when they respond to you, they're not responding to the personal, spiritual you, they're responding to the program. And if the program's not any good, then the behavior outside is not going to be any good either. Okay? I'll give a simple example. My father and mother had a dysfunctional relationship, not good. But I'm a child, I'm downloading my father's behavior. Well, I'm downloading very bad relationship behavior because he wasn't good at relation. I say, so what? I say, for 40 years, I could not find a relationship because 95% of the day, my behavior was my father's, and that made everybody run away. So the idea is this: are you living the life you want, or are you living the life you've been programmed? And the answer is, you're living the program. And this is not new. 400 years, the Jesuits have told their followers, give me a child until it is 7 and I will show you the man. Well, they knew exactly. First 7 years is program, 95% of that life is program. And they told people that for 400 years. And today the programming is so much more sophisticated.
I was going to tell you, it's so complicated, sophisticated, so it takes time, a lot of time to stop and take a look at it quietly. We don't do it.
No, we're so busy thinking that we're not part of our own life.
That's it.
Now wait, there's a movie called The Matrix. Almost everybody's
That's it.
saying.
I was thinking about it right then.
Okay. Well, what's the story of The Matrix? Everybody's programmed. I go, well, okay, that's true. But they had the red pill. And if you took the red pill, you get out of the program. Well, almost everybody out here in the audience has taken the red pill at one point and got out of the program, and their whole life changed overnight. 24 hours after they fall in love, they have a different life. We call it the honeymoon.
Yeah.
Okay? What's the honeymoon? Heaven on earth, where you fell in love and you're so excited, you wake up and happy, you're looking forward to the wonderful day, and you're going to have so much wonderful fun. The food is better, the music, everything is better. Even the job's not so bad. I said, wait, 24 hours ago, your whole life, blah, 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 blah. You meet this person, and then the next day, you have heaven on earth. And we now know why. And the answer is, when we stop thinking, we stop playing the program. And then the behavior comes from our thinking. So all of a sudden, then for the first time, we are the creator, not the program. And when you have the power to create, what would you create? Heaven on earth. And this is exactly how come life was not so great, then you fall in love and life was so beautiful.
Yeah, and it looks like everything comes from the fear. So suddenly we start to be defending from things that actually don't exist. And then we take decisions under that fear that also makes us a very weird behavior, and also we don't realize that it has influence on our health. And that is very important. Tell us, what's the relation between the health, the good health, and the good thoughts?
Okay. Well, there's a very important part of biology it has a name called the biological imperative. I go, what's that? It's the drive to survive. Every organism, if you try and kill it, is not going to go, okay, kill me. Every organism is going to do everything it can to stay alive because it's a drive. They say, where is it? In the brain? I go, well, it was in bacteria. So from the very first organism till right now, all organisms try to survive. Now, the problem is this. If you're under threat, then you have to get into protection, okay? So I say, okay, if there's no threat, your life is growth. Growth, you go to a stimulus, whether it's food or whether it's someone you love, you go to that stimulus, arms open, take it in, okay? But if the stimulus is toxic or scary, you don't go to the stimulus, you go the other way. And you don't keep your arms open, you keep your arms closed, protection. So you're either in growth, arms open, go to the signal, or you're in protection, closed down, run away from the signal based on the fear. So it turns out in today's world, the fears in every level, whether you have money, whether you have health, whether you have a relationship, and the government, and today especially for me is political fear. And the point about it is what? Well, if we're in fear, do we stay in growth or do we go into protection? I go, protection. I go, so what are the sequence? And here's where the problem comes from. 90% of the illness on this planet has nothing to do with genes. 90% is stress. One thing, stress. Genes, less than 1% of disease. 99% of disease, nothing to do with the genes. So how does stress affect us? Well, stress originally was to run away from the saber-toothed tiger. So I say, you're relaxing, you're eating fruit, you're picking the tree, you're enjoying life, and the tiger comes, and then you have to run. Now, here's an important fact. The blood is where the energy is. The energy for the body is in the blood. So if you need some part of the body, you have to send the energy, you have to send blood. So number one, when the saber-toothed tiger is there, we want to run. So we have to put the energy into our arms and our legs. I said, but before the tiger was there, the energy and the blood was in the gut, the viscera. I said, so what's the function? Maintenance of the body, cleaning the body, repairing the body, giving it health, taking care of the body. But the moment the stress hormones come, the blood vessels in the gut squeeze shut. And they squeeze shut because then it makes the blood go out to the arms and the legs. So you shut down the blood to the viscera, which is taking care of you. Okay? You can feel it because sometimes they say butterflies in the stomach or queasy. I feel something going on. I go, yeah, the blood vessel's squeezing shut. So number one, when we're in fear, we shut down the blood flow to maintaining the body, okay? Number two, and this is a big one, the immune system uses a lot of energy. Yeah. If you're sick, sometimes you don't have the energy to get out of the bed. So I say, well, wait, what if I have an infection and the tiger is chasing me? Well, how do I split the energy? I make a joke and I say, if the tiger catches you, the bacteria infection is not a problem anymore. So the idea is this. The stress hormones shut off the immune system to save energy to run away from the tiger, okay? Mm. And that means then viruses, bacteria, parasites, they can take over when the immune system is not working. Okay, that's number two. Number three, and this is another problem. I go, what? We can think, and thinking is our consciousness and our wishes and our desires. But when you're running from a tiger, you don't want thinking. You want to be able just to run without thinking. You run like crazy. The stress hormones squeeze the blood vessels in the conscious brain shut. Why? Because it pushes the blood to the hindbrain where reaction, reflex, okay? So we become less intelligent. So I say, okay, what are the three things of stress? Shut down the growth, shut down the immune system, shut down the intelligence. And I go, so why is this a problem? Well, when it was just a saber-toothed tiger, if you ran away 10 minutes, you're safe, everything comes back again. But in today's world, stress 24/7, 365. Every day is stress. We were not designed to live in stress. And the amount of stress is responsible for over 90% of the health problems because we shut down the system. And so it's the way we're living that is creating the health problem. And we have to change that and take our power back.
That's it. We have to take the power back. We have to take a look at what's going on and decide if we want to take the red pill or the blue pill. And I mean, I think this is the most important thing. But how do we stop? How do you realize and which decisions are the more urgent to do right now before we go worse even?
Well, our life experiences tell us of a birthday party, I'm going to be happy, I'm going to be open, okay? I'm in the middle of 1,000 cars all around me, I get nervous, okay? So the idea is we know there are places we are safe, and then when we feel we are not safe, that's when this program takes over,
Yeah.
okay? So I say, well, all you have to do is watch the news or surf the web, and you'll see that the world is crazy, which means more people are afraid, more people are in protection. Well, protection shuts off the growth, and that's when we get sick.
You were saying that when I asked you to sign the book, this is what's happening right now. You're saying right now we live surrounded by fear, we're defending from everybody, from everything, and we're going quite crazy. We don't even know what's right, what's wrong. Everything is so mixed up. It's a sophistication, it's a sophisticated confusion. And
Well,
this is not good, huh?
No, because again, we're destroying the world, number one. I say, what do you mean? I say, just to supply the resources for today's world takes 1.6 planet Earth, okay? We only have one planet Earth. Where's the extra 0.6? And that is because we've been destroying the Earth to get the extra. And I said, but destroying the Earth means that the web of life, all the organisms are, yes, everything is failing. Human behavior is destroying the planet. And we came from nature. If we destroy nature, we can't be here either. And so it means there's stress at every level. Can we survive? NASA scientists, United States, their research reveals something very important, that civilization is facing, and I want to use their word, an irreversible collapse. That means within, and they say within 20 years or within 10 years, civilization that we know here today will collapse. Why? We cannot keep living the way we are living. We're destroying the ground underneath our feet. So I said, but the reason we are living this way is because of the culture. And I said, so what are we going to do? I said, well, you have to change the culture before you can change the world. And that means what? The civilization is falling apart. Chaos is everywhere. Economic, political, racial, religious, even gender chaos is happening. I go, these are signs of we can no longer do this anymore. So I said, so what does that mean? Being prepared, because we're not finished collapsing yet. And nature with climate change is also giving us a problem because people talk about climate change, the water is going to rise because the ice melting. I said, that's not even the problem. I said, what's the problem? How can you grow food if you don't know what the weather is going to be? You know, is it going to be too hot, too cold, too wet, too dry? I go, if you can't plan the weather, you can't plan the food. And so food is going to be harder to find. And the prices of food is going to go higher and higher because there's less food every day because the weather is interfering with the growing of the food. So we're in some trouble.
Yeah, we are. And I think one of the solutions could be, I know it's quite naive, but maybe to take advantage of the sophistication on the elevated feelings. I mean, let's connect it to the good feelings and get better people around.
Well, you see, unfortunately, in our programming, and it's an unfortunate situation because it's based on the theory of Charles Darwin. Charles Darwin's theory, in summary, is survival of the fittest in the struggle for life. That's the summary. Survival of the fittest is competition. And the idea of competition is winner and loser, okay? And in today's world, 1% of the population has all the money. 99% of us are the losers in this game. And so it's very stressful for us at this point. And so we have to change it. Is it the money that is valuable? Well, for years, other people have given us no, it's not the money, it's your health. That's very valuable. It's your emotions. These are very valuable. I remember working with belief change with a professional wrestler, the guy who wrestles. And I said, well, what do you planning. He said, well, if I really do good from wrestling, I could be an announcer. And then if I do good, I can be for the big sports channel, the announcer. And if I do that, I can have all the money. And I said, well, then what? He said, well, if I have the money, I can get the car. And I said, so what? And he said, then I'll be happy. I thought, you know, you didn't need all that. You could be happy right now. Just, you could be happy without anything. And it's interesting because I visit India a lot. Some of the poorest people in the entire world. And you see kids, little kids, in the garbage pile looking for food, with cows and pigs and kids looking in the garbage pile. And you think, oh, how hard their life. Yeah, but you know what? They're the happiest people. And I say, what? They're happy? They have nothing? I go, yeah, because it doesn't cost any money to be happy. That's a choice. You can be happy if you want to be happy.
But there's a moment when we change and we want to have things instead of being something. We want to have it.
Yeah.
And we depend on how much we have to measure our happiness.
Right. And this is why then we spend more money.
Yep.
Then we need more money. Then we need a new job. Then we need this and all that. And I go, for fun for me, when I left the university, I didn't have a job. And I rented a room in a garage where they put 2 cars in the garage. So the room has a roof like this. And I'm upstairs, small space, very small, the size of the garage. Okay? I lived there 11 years. You know why? Because when I looked out the window, it was the most beautiful view of the world you could imagine. And I go, I lived in the smallest place. I loved it. I could clean the whole place up in 1/2 hour. It could be brand new. And I loved it. Why? My life was easy. It was a mountain, so I wasn't going out making the yard. Let the mountain take care of itself. Do you know how much time I had for freedom? Without taking care of a big house and keeping it up and fixing it, without taking care of a big yard and doing all, I had so much time to enjoy life. That's why I stayed there 11 years, because it was like the easiest way, and yet we are making our lives complicated. Why? Survival of the fittest. How's the fittest? Well, how much money do you have is how fit you are, and so we're always struggling. Sometimes I ask my audience, I say, when was the last time you watched the sunset? Most people, they can't even remember. You know, I say, why? You're so busy. You don't even know the sun is going down.
We create needs.
Yes.
Sometimes we don't really need. I was listening to you, Bruce, and I was thinking, wow, he's talking about happiness, feelings, needs, emotions. But on the other side, he's a very known scientist. He talks about genes and say how related are both universes when we thought they were separated, but they're very connected.
Well, yes, this is what excited me in my research, because my research, I'm teaching medical students genes control life. In my laboratory, the cells showing me environment controls life. And at some point I said, well, I can't teach the old, I had to leave the university. I couldn't teach the old story. And then started to do environment. I said, am I taking care of my environment? Is what? Am I taking care of where I live? And that became important to me. Yeah. And then I started to realize something people don't know. This is very exciting. That energy is life. That's a fact. You have energy, you got life. You have no energy, you don't have life. Money is energy.
Oh, yeah, it's true.
Okay? So people have said, oh, well, I need to have the money so I could have my energy. I go, okay, but I'm going to tell you something else. We use energy to do everything, whether to wake up, to wash the dishes, to clean the house. We use energy for everything. Then I started to look and say, wait, we're very careful with the money in the bank. You don't give it away because that's your life. But we give away a lot of our energy. We do things that don't help us, that don't help our family, that don't even help our community. And when we are doing these things, we're using our energy. And then I said, but our energy is my life. Like two people get into a political argument and they get hot and angry and they're yelling and everything. And then at the end they walk away and I said, well, what happened? Did you change anything? I said, no. Did you use energy? Oh, yeah, you got hot and fire. You used a lot of energy. And I said, well, then you wasted this energy having this argument. And I started looking. I said, wait a minute. I should be looking at the things I do and eliminate the ones that I do because that's the way we always do it.
Because we need to be loved. If we don't feel we are being loved.
That is the biggest thing in the whole world. Because evolution is not survival of the fittest. Evolution is based on the survival of the community. And to have a community, the first thing is you have to have a partner, because then now you start community. And love is one of the most important values of health and life on our planet. And it's very hard to find. As I well know, as I said, I had trouble finding love because my programming wasn't any good. And then you look at marriages today, 50% of marriages are falling apart. And you say, why? And there's an answer. Because remember I said, wait, there are two minds. The one that creates and the one that has a program. I go, and when do we use the program? When the creating conscious mind is thinking, that's when the program comes. Well, guess what they found out? When we fall in love, we stop thinking. We stay what they say present. We stay what they say mindful. I say, why? What does that mean? I said, we stop thinking. I said, then what happens? We're not playing the program. Then I said, where's life coming from? The creation. That's how life changed overnight. When the program was playing blah, 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 the moment you stopped playing the program, you became the creator, and then you made the honeymoon. So it really takes us back to this value of love, because love keeps us in the present moment. It keeps us there, and we want to be here. And we're missing life because we're so busy thinking about being the fittest, struggling, working. I said, you didn't enjoy life because you've been playing this program.
Let's talk about relation between mind and heart. There's a very strong communication between both parts.
There can be a strong communication. A lot of times there is not. Let's think, I'll tell you something. When the brain is operating, it makes electrical activity. So we can put wires on the head and read that. It's called electroencephalograph, EEG, okay? So our brain power doesn't have a lot of broadcasts. It's small power, okay? The heart is a giant electrical machine. And it has a power that you could read meters away with a device. You could read someone's heartbeat because the electricity is so powerful. So I make an analogy, a story. I say, some musicians we call acoustic. They don't have amplifiers or anything. They just play like a guitar. So I say, how many people can hear, if you are playing a guitar, how many people can you put around you that can hear the guitar? Because when you get a little far away, you can't hear it. I say, let's just say 50 people. I say, great. But if you plug the guitar into an amplifier, you can play 20,000 people, 30,000 people, because the amplifier takes the message and makes it big. The brain is acoustic, the heart, the amplifier. So I said, so why? Well, if we just have a thought and we don't do anything with it, it doesn't go anywhere. It's just right here. But if we have a thought and come from our heart with that thought, the power is so important that that thought influences everything around us. And that is the difference between just the head thinking and the heart amplifying that. And that's why the Heart Math, the organization in Canada, Heart Math, organization in California, is the main story of bring your thoughts into your heart and you amplify the power. And when you amplify the power as a creator, you amplify the creation.
I mean, this is it.
It's so important.
Yes, I get very impressed because you couldn't explain it better. I really appreciate you telling this because it's so clear. And when you say it, it comes to me such a big truth. That's why I get also very impressed. This is it.
Well, life is simple. We just make it more difficult than it is.
It is indeed.
And that's what the cells showed me. I didn't watch people and learn about this. I watched the cells. And people think, oh, the cells, what do they know? I go, we always think the bigger, the smarter the animal, you know, like a snail is not too smart, a dog is smarter, a monkey is smarter, because we think, oh, the bigger the brain.
Yeah.
I said, well, the cell is only a little tiny thing. I go, people, stop. The cells created us. We are a community of 50 trillion cells. The cells make us. Their intelligence made this human body. So I don't challenge the intelligence of the cells, because if they can create us, they're pretty smart. And the point about it is very simple. We are a community of cells. And let's just go back to health for 1 second. The cells have all the same functions you have. There's not one new function in your entire human body a cell doesn't have. Respiration, digestion, excretion, muscle contraction, nervous system, reproduction, even immune system. So, point, there's no new function in the human body that's not already present in the single cell. So I say, what? Well, cells are miniature people. I go, yes, they are. And they live in a community. That's called the body. The body is not a single thing. A body is 50 trillion cells living in community. Now, what's interesting is there's a government, and the government is the mind. And if the mind is working in harmony, then the 50 trillion citizens are happy. But when your mind gets crazed and wrong and angry and all these things, it affects the civilization under your skin. And so health is when we live in harmony, and disease is when we are in disharmony.
Stress, yeah.
And so it's important to recognize your thoughts are the politics of 50 trillion cells in your body. So what are you thinking?
And how you find that harmony? You meditate, or you take a walk on the nature?
Personally, well, I disconnect from the trouble because I'm not part of the trouble. Do I watch the news? No. Why? Can I change it? No. So why should I use my energy to watch something I can't do? I think they call the serenity prayer. I think that's the name. They say, grant me something like, give me the intelligence to know what I can fix and to know what I can't fix.
Yeah.
And put my energy into the ones I can do something about. So right away, if we were living that prayer, people's lives would change, because most of their fear has nothing to do with their personal. Fear is the bigger story coming from outside. And we're living in somebody else's fear and creating a problem in our community of cells, because the fear, the cells are scared. If you're afraid, the cells are afraid. And this is what we have to change. And then I'll tell you something, and this is really important. Why? Because as a scientist, I wasn't a spiritual person. I didn't believe in it. Oh, genes, chromosomes, proteins, cells, yeah, that's science. You're here, you're dead, that's it. But there was an important point. I said, what? I cannot put my cells into your body, because if I put, let's say, a kidney, a liver, a lung into your body, your immune system will go, not self, and then destroy it. If you put your cells into somebody else's body, their immune system will say, not self, and destroy it. Well, wait a minute. The immune system sees physical things, viruses, bacteria, parasites. What do they see when they know somebody else's cells? Well, how do they know their own cells from somebody else's cells? Well, it turns out on the surface of the cell there are proteins like antennas, like television antennas. A group of them, not one, a group. They're called self-receptors, okay? I said, what do? They receive a signal. I go, so what? I say, no two people in the whole world have the same set of self-receptors. Each of us has our own receiver. Each of us is receiving a signal. I say, where's the receptors? On the outside of the cell. Where do you think the signal is coming from? Outside the cell. And then I said, oh my goodness. Our identity is a broadcast picked up by my receptors. Your identity is picked up a broadcast by your receptors. In physics, we talk about the energy as a field. Definition: invisible moving forces that influence the physical world. Definition of spirit: invisible moving forces that influence the physical world. I go, this is why quantum physics acknowledges the existence of spirit. But spirit's the broadcast. And I go, so I'm sitting there when this is first coming into my head 50 years ago, and I go, ah! I'm crazed about it. It's like, you know why? I'm not in here. I am the broadcast playing in here. And I said, oh, well then the body is like a television set. So, and you're looking at the Bruce TV, and I'm playing the Bruce show. I say, is the show built into the TV? I go, no, the show is picked up by the broadcast. And then I said, but what if you watch the TV and it breaks? We said, TV is dead. I go, yeah, not working. Is the broadcast still there? Yes, the broadcast is not in the body. The broadcast is received by the body. And then I thought, oh, I cannot die. I'm not even in here. This is the television set. The broadcast is what's picked up by my antennas. You receive a different broadcast. Now, what's the point? The body comes, the body goes, but the broadcast is always here. And I said, well, what happens if an embryo in the future has the same antennas? You're back in a different TV. Does it make a difference, the male or female TV? I go, no, that's the TV. That's not the broadcast. You're the broadcast. Does it make a difference if the TV is white, brown, black, red, yellow? I go, no, that's not you. You're the broadcast. And all of a sudden I go, oh my God, we all came from the same broadcast. The TVs come and go. The TVs are different, male, female, race, whatever, religion. That's not it. And when I saw this, I said, oh, so much peace came into my heart. Because the first thing was this: I cannot die. And this is not from belief, go to the church. This is from science with the receptors. And it was like, how fast I was not spiritual. Then I understood this. How fast then I became spiritual? 1 second. I just looked and said, oh, I'm not in here. I am the broadcast. And then it says we come back. We've been here before, but different TV set each time. And I say we came here, and so my conclusion is the most important part. I say, why we're here? Well, we're creators. You're a creator. I'm a creator. And all of a sudden I said, you know the story we were told? Oh, if you have a good life and then you die, you can go to heaven. What's heaven? Creation. Your story of heaven is different than anybody else. Everybody has a picture. I go, oh, big mistake. We were born into heaven. We came here to create with a virtual reality suit. The spirit gets into the suit and makes it move and does things. And the best part, the suit has feelings. The spirit doesn't have feelings. The suit has what? Well, emotions, love, happiness, joy. That comes from the machine. And also, we're the creator. We can make things and design what we want and do what we want from the creative mind. And I go, oh, boy, what a big mistake. I say, what? You don't die and go to heaven. You were born. This is heaven. And you go, yeah, but look at the mess. I go, remember, we didn't create the mess. The program created the mess. And when you stop playing the program, you created heaven on earth. And so the point is, don't wait till you die to go to heaven. You were here right now. And this is why we're here, to manifest. We can see and smell and taste and touch. This is a machine that does this. But the signals go back to the source. And so we came here to experience heaven. And when you're experiencing it, it's the most beautiful thing, and you know it.
Yes.
I know it. Almost everybody out there, if they just stop long enough. As a kid, before the fear came in, life was fun every day you wake up. As an adult, if you lose the fear, guess what? Same thing. Be a kid. Enjoy every day enjoy every day. I always like to joke, I say, if you have a bad day, you don't get the refund.
I know. You can't go back.
Nope, you lost it.
No.
So why are we wasting the days?
Yes. Thank you. You made heaven on earth in this instant, also in this moment. Such a pleasure to listen to you.
Well, I'm a student, so I want you to know, it's like I'm not a guru. I don't do anything like that. All I did is what I learned from the biology. I took it and made it my life. And then realized how my life is the most I don't want to die. Why? I'm just beginning. It took me over 40 years to begin. I've been living heaven on earth 40 years. I'm not finished. I want more. I want more.
And we want more from you. You just turned 80 and you're still going on keeping studying and sharing your thoughts and your beliefs. So thank you so much.
I thank you, Anne. Thank you so very much.
So good.
I also, you know what I want to thank? The audience.
Oh, yes.
I want to thank the audience because all of you are the creators, and I'm living with you, and I hope you decide to have more fun, because then we all will have more fun and be healthy and happy and enjoy the experience of being alive on this beautiful planet. Thank you.
Thank you.